know the feeling? You're by yourself in the forest and you have the strange sensation you're not alone. Your heart starts pounding and then a squirrel. The forest is the original home of this little creature who makes every walk through the woods an adventure. Lively, nimble-footed squirrels enchant young and old alike. But what makes them different? What's their secret recipe? Let yourself be enchanted by the secret life of squirrels and their fascinating characters. In a mixed forest somewhere in Central Europe, far above our heads, something magical is taking place. A squirrel is becoming a mother. Like she does every spring, the female has built her nest in a protected tree trunk and has cushioned it with moss. The baby is born feet first. It's her third. Another one will follow. A female can have up to 6 young in one litter. The big wide world awaits 4 baby squirrels. And their world looks something like this, at least from a squirrel's eye view. Squirrels have conquered almost the entire Earth. Nearly 280 different species live on 4 continents. Only Australia and Antarctica are squirrel-free. The differences between them are as far apart as their ranges. Fall in North America, it's not only leaves that fall from the trees, but also acorns. It's harvest time and it's raining food. This is a job for chipmunks. This is just what they've been waiting for. Chipmunks are probably the best known relatives of our native European squirrel, and the sound of falling acorns brings them up to speed. Now begins the time of abundance. There's food all over the forest just waiting to be collected. But there's no time to hesitate, since snow will soon cover everything. Chipmunks can't build up fat reserves, so they have to squirrel away as many nuts as possible for their hibernation. Every acorn is tested for its preservability and makes its way into the big elastic cheek pouches. There's room in there for up to 7 nuts. This saves running around, and with so much energy at that. Countless trips are needed to fill up such an underground cache. The chipmunk's hustle and bustle don't go unnoticed for long. His neighbour collects leaves for a cosy sleeping chamber. That takes time away from nut gathering. But why go long distances? The coast is clear. Leaves in, nuts out. A good exchange. Open doors make thieves of squirrels too. But woe to those who are caught. The underground nut stores are life insurance for chipmunks. Without them, they couldn't survive the harsh winter. That's why the fun is over when it comes to nuts. Chipmunks are solitary creatures. Normally, they'd ignore one another. For other kinds of squirrels, cooperation with others is essential to survival. On the treeless North American prairie, little mounds of earth are within sight and hearing of one another. Prairie dogs are communication experts. Their calls roll across the endless plain like an acoustic Mexican wave. The guards confirm their vigilance with each other, so individuals in the colony can go about their favourite business undeterred. For instance, digging. Or just sparring with a member of the family. Despite their name, prairie dogs are not dogs, but get their names from their dog-like barking. Yet this isn't just meaningless yelping, it's a language. Prairie dogs have developed an individual warning call for each enemy, which everybody understands. They have to keep the grass short, so they can see potential intruders. It's the only way they can keep an overview. Prairie dogs are rarely alone. Though the grassland looks deserted at first, unannounced visitors could always come by. That's why every prairie dweller is kept careful track of. If the squirrel guard spies a robber, he gives off an individual warning call and automatically sets off the appropriate flight measures within the colony. The whistle sounds monotonous to the human ear, yet to the prairie dog it's unmistakable. The sounds are so specific that the ground squirrels know exactly that they're dealing with a coyote, how far away it is, and which direction it's coming from. A danger foreseen is a danger avoided. The better prairie dogs communicate with each other, the better their chance for survival. A journey to the other side of the earth takes us to a very different world. Extensive tea plantations and thick evergreen woodlands. We're in southwest India. An area that, despite all the people, still shelters unique wildlife, like the lion-tailed macaque, one of the rarest primates in the world. A very special relative of our squirrel lives here. The Indian giant squirrel. Big as a monkey, it's a Goliath among squirrels. They live only in the treetops of the Indian rainforest and almost never need to frequent the ground. Their walkways are the canopies. Lion-tailed macaques, only a bit bigger than the giant squirrels, share the canopies with them. But encounters between the two are not necessarily desirable. A narrow squirrel road 20 meters off the ground. The squirrel doesn't give way voluntarily. They each have only one goal: giant overripe jackfruit. These heavy fruits, weighing up to 30 kilograms, hang on tree trunks shortly before the rainy season. The forest is permeated by their smell. The giant squirrel effortlessly gnaws the hard shell open to get at the nutritious, sticky fruit. For a short period of time, jackfruit are the main source of food for many forest dwellers. The best fruits are the hardest to reach. How nice would it be to have a fruit that's already open? Like this one. Much better. But the giant squirrel is not considering retreat. The Indian forest in June is full of fruit, and yet they've both got their eye on just this one specimen. Partly peeled ones are particularly highly prized. Neither wants to clear the field. Following some back and forth, the monkey finally gives up. No pain, no gain. He'll have to crack his next fruit himself. The giant squirrel's tenacity has paid off. Another character trait that has helped all his cousins on their triumphal march through the world. Things are peaceful in our Eurasian red squirrel's dray. The young have grown quickly, and at nearly 6 weeks, they already look like real squirrels. It's starting to get crowded in there. Scuffles among the siblings can't be avoided in such a small place. The young squirrels playfully test their agility and jumping power, improve their physical condition and develop their motor skills. Soon they'll leave the nest on their own and will have to prove their prowess as tree acrobats. Midwinter in the far north of America. Freezing cold and darkness are too extreme for many animals, and so they migrate south. Yet there's secret life in this northern winter night. As one of the few nocturnal squirrels, these little tree dwellers must stay permanently in motion so that they don't freeze. Lichens, tree fungi, and small seeds are their only sources of energy at these latitudes. Despite this extreme cold, these animals don't hibernate. They stay awake, scurrying like miniature goblins up and down the tree trunks throughout the night. The trees that provide them with food are mostly set apart, and the path across the snowy ground consumes far too much energy, and is dangerous. But how to reach a goal that's outside squirrel jumping distance? With a special trick. A powerful jump and a flying squirrel sails through the night. A tiny flying carpet in the wintry forest. At nearly 30 kilometers per hour, flying squirrels glide up to 80 meters through the night, aiming directly for food sources that are far apart. This special ability allows them to cover a lot of ground with a minimum of effort. And they're one of the few mammals to have conquered airspace. A fascinating evolutionary leap for our squirrel family. Which wouldn't work at all in the desert of Arizona. No flying squirrel would survive even one landing on thorns like these. During the day, temperatures in the Sonoran Desert can reach over 45 degrees Celsius. The air burns, and most desert dwellers spend the day in the shade. The coast is clear for a heat-loving squirrel. The Harris's antelope squirrel really gets going when the going gets hot. It can withstand temperatures of over 40 degrees, actually life-threatening for such a little mammal. But his inner clock tells him when a heat stroke threatens and he has to seek shade to cool off. His cousin, the round-tailed ground squirrel, doesn't leave his shadowy spot at all at midday, just to be safe. Cacti are nutritious, but they know how to protect themselves from hungry mouths. Their thorny covering keeps enemies at a distance, but not the antelope squirrel. Centimetre-long spikes are no hindrance to them. At least, not a major one. Like a fakir, the squirrel approaches the tangled thorns to reach the upper shoots. On the ground floor, things are more tranquil. The round-tailed ground squirrel only dares to go out briefly into the harsh sunlight, then cools off in the shade. As it does, its body temperature quickly falls to a bearable level. It's even harder to get past the thorns unscathed when you're upside down. Antelope squirrels are very skillful climbers, but how they survive running the gauntlet like this without being injured remains their secret. The squirrel hurries relentlessly from cactus to cactus. Its neighbour in the shade has a different strategy, and this is don't jump the gun and stay cool relaxing in a sand bath. But he always keeps his eye on the fakir squirrel. The decisive moment approaches at the spiky peak of the cactus. The reward for all the climbing are the energy-rich seeds in the shoots of the cholla cactus. There are only dried branches down below. Unless... Now the shading squirrel gets his money's worth. Delicacies like this would otherwise be out of his reach. Two strategies, the same reward. Squirrels are inventive, especially when it comes to food. 15,000 kilometers from Arizona lies the South African Kalahari Desert. A relatively large amount of rain falls here, so calling this a desert is not intrinsically accurate. Meerkats benefit from the rainfall, which causes the landscape to turn green regularly and the ground to swarm with insects. The Kalahari is a dry savanna. After every downpour, grass sprouts from the dry ground. But the shoots have no chance to grow longer than 10 centimeters here. An entire armada of large and small grazers makes sure of that. Cape ground squirrels also feast immediately on the green shoots. It's not long before the South African sun burns mercilessly down again. It's good to have a built-in sunshade. Cape ground squirrels are born with a standard sun protection. When they look for food in the blazing sun, they hold their bushy tails over their bodies like umbrellas, creating shade for themselves. This allows them to keep a cool head during the heat of the day. These squirrels live in colonies. After the rain, there's a surplus of food, so there's enough time for social contact and party games. The colonies visit each other and play boisterously across the green savanna. So much activity has lured the Cape cobra from its hiding place. The snake has its eye on the young squirrels in the burrows. Its bite could be deadly, but the Cape ground squirrel doesn't run. Quite the opposite. It gets in the way of the cobra. Like a protective shield, it holds its tail in front of its body. The squirrel seems bigger, irritating the snake. The combatants are soon discovered. All the squirrels in the colony come to the rescue. A dance of life and death begins. The cobra is surrounded. Its bites are ineffective. The snake gave up long ago. It's time for the final attack. The tide has turned. The attacker is now the target. And hurries off into the distance. Not one of its bites has hit its target. With courage, team spirit, and a multifunctional tool, Cape ground squirrels withstand the dangers in the Kalahari. Their tail also plays a big role in the lives of our Eurasian red squirrels. Like a rudder, it helps the flying acrobats to keep their balance. And when they take breakneck leaps off trunks and branches, their tails maintain their equilibrium. Their body is perfectly adapted to life in the treetops. The squirrel is one of the most accomplished climbers among mammals. As perfectly as they may climb, they dislike going into water. Now, it could do with some good advice. It's worth a try. Careful. The nut is too far from shore. The squirrel needs a different tactic. Maybe from above. Foiled again. One more time. Raccoon style. Now, only using one hand, the nut slides back into the depths again. Even though sparrowhawks don't hunt squirrels, this visit could not be more unwelcome. The little raptor is in the mood to swim and takes things slowly. First, she takes her time checking the situation. The squirrel is excited, but the first thing to do is keep distance, just to make sure. Onward. The nut has not been forgotten. The path to the goal has been determined. Where were we again? And now, 2 for the price of 1. But 1 slips. A last final attempt. The raccoon method brings success. This squirrel has learned to get at nuts that nobody else can find. On the other end of the northern hemisphere, a squirrel has also tapped into an unusual food source. Every summer, millions of salmon swim along the coast of southwest Alaska. Fish plays a central role for all northern wildlife, as it does for grizzlies. The bears eat almost only fish for weeks at a time. Much to the delight of the Arctic ground squirrels, which are otherwise also on the bears' menu. But when the salmon are migrating, they have nothing to fear. The grizzlies often eat only the fillet pieces and leave the rest. Still, the squirrels have to be alert. Summer is the time of abundance in the far north. Friend and foe are constantly out and about. The fox smells something in the wind. But he's choosy. This fish is probably already too old. But the salmon is just right for the squirrel. It's a lot of fish for a little squirrel. But the younger generation are on their feet right nearby. And one of them is always hungry. The young animal has never seen a fish. He doesn't seem too convinced. Mother squirrel must first show Junior the right opening. After a hesitant sampling, the young squirrel quickly develops a taste for it and discovers the grizzly in himself. The feast is discovered, and the second offspring doesn't hesitate for long. Food envy sets in, and the two of them finally take turns satisfying their ravenous hunger. Where food is rare, you can't afford to be picky. A principle that safeguards the survival of many squirrel species in barren landscapes. Several thousand kilometers further south, along the west coast of California, the hills of the backcountry are lined with old oak trees. There's food here in abundance. For specialists. Acorn woodpeckers live in large family groups of up to a dozen. As their name indicates, they specialize in harvesting acorns. Each acorn is flown individually to a central spot in the territory, the granary tree. Winter food supplies are stored over generations in such a tree. Over the years, the woodpeckers have pecked away thousands of little holes into the trunk and filled them with acorns. The size and shape of the openings are trimmed to the precise size of the acorns. But not every acorn fits into every hole. The birds are being watched. For California ground squirrels, a storage tree full of nuts like this is a table set for dining. But it's not so easy. The woodpeckers have stationed a guard. For now, the intruder is kept off. But a squirrel doesn't give up quite so easily. Wait for a moment until the woodpecker is distracted, and go. The coast is still clear. It's time to get down to business. Again, nothing. The woodpecker can quickly get rid of the traces of the attack. Now it's time to wait and look as innocent as possible. The next attempt starts in the woodpecker's blind spot. The guard hasn't spotted the squirrel. No rash movements. The tactic pays off. Quickly fill your cheeks before the woodpecker notices. Don't lose your cool now. All you can do now is bear the pain, close your eyes and hope for the best. Made it. Thick fur also protects you from sharp beaks. A little cheeky, a little painful, but somehow you pulled through. The Alps. The meadows above the tree line are the home of marmots. They too are squirrels. Alpine marmots spend the summer days literally fattening themselves. The alpine pastures are their land of milk and honey. Good provisions are necessary, for here there will soon be metre-high snow. The most valuable titbits are defended vehemently. Layers of fat are good for the winter, but it does mean you get out of breath easily. Marmots don't like heat. Their comfort zone is the cool mountain region. They have few sweat glands and have a hard time getting rid of stored body heat. Marmots live close together, so there are often skirmishes. Then the slow-paced alpine residents turn into bear-like sumo wrestlers. They bite, scuffle and shove. If one starts, a pack quickly forms and then everyone fights each other. The opponents try to knock each other over with targeted attacks. With marmots, as with real sumo wrestlers, big is beautiful. A heavier dead weight has advantages when you're wrestling. Strength and agility take care of the rest. Fit and fat. For marmots, these attributes are not at odds with each other. The squirrels of the world are as different as they can be. But they all have one thing in common: astonishing adaptability. Some of it is hereditary, but much of it is learned or simply tried out. They learn about danger and how to find things that are edible early on from their mothers. But later too, they're clever and quick to learn. When the time comes to find new feeding grounds, they're second to none. They are true survival artists. Their shrewdness and cleverness are legendary. Squirrels have become one of the most successful animal families and live almost all over the world today. Our Eurasian squirrels have also found new territories, though they quickly reached their limits. Time to dare one last mighty jump. Into the world of people, into our cities. The asphalt jungle doesn't look like the optimal living space at first, but squirrels are no big city neurotics. They take urban life from the practical side. And certainly appreciate being close to us humans. This is based on reciprocity. The little fellows are very popular in the nature-poor world of big cities. More and more people set up feeding sites to have the comical vagrants nearby. Today, squirrels have gotten used to life in the city. They are even less stressed than their fellows outside town, despite the continuous disruptions and street noise. The city offers them plenty of food because where there are people, there is always food. And who knows, maybe their adaptability will soon lead to the evolution of a new, ultra-relaxed big city squirrel. At any rate, they're always full of surprises.